It's 8:38. Morning to you. This is Breakfast with Stephen and Anne.
Right, let's go through the papers now. With us is Sean MacDonald, broadcaster and writer and podcast host, of course, and Candice Holdsworth, writer and commentator. And we're starting, Sean, with you, actually, and this very sad story of a British tourist who's been killed in Greece.
Yeah, a 19-year-old Scottish guy, Ryan Bennett, sadly killed in Zakynthos. His friend escaped with minor injuries, but I think he has sustained serious injuries, which sadly
What sort of crash was it?
Sorry, it's a quad bike crash. I should have said. Now, the reason I highlighted this, I mean, first of all, condolences and thoughts to his friends and family. It must be a horrendous time. There'll be a lot of people that are going on holiday this summer, a lot of young people. And road safety issues are a massive problem, especially over in islands like Greece. I have to say, toxicological tests are still to be conducted, but both of these young men were wearing helmets. It seems that they've lost control around about 2:30.
Did you say they were wearing?
No, they were wearing helmets. Yeah. So they're still taking the correct measures that you would expect in order to prevent such a thing, but sadly it's not been enough.
Sometimes you do things on holiday that you would never do in normal life.
Yeah. I think this is the thing. I mean, quad bikes, I don't know if they're more difficult to control
I think so.
They really are. And
they don't have roll bars and things.
No, when you have an accident on a quad bike, you can be very badly...
There's a road safety campaigner in Greece has basically said they look steady because they've got four wheels, but it's very easy for the weight to transfer and for injuries. And, sadly, I don't think this will be the only case of this that we hear. It seems to just be every summer. You would hope that people would take care, but just sad news.
Yeah, tell you what, if you're going to think of things like that as well, you need to look at your travel insurance.
Oh, yes, you do.
I've just been filling out a load of forms for travel insurance, and they ask you, are you going to do any unusual sports or holiday activities? And I don't think you always think of it at the time, because you're on holiday, you're sitting on the beach, somebody's parasailing past you, and you think, oh, I'd love a go at that. Yeah. But you don't actually think whether or not you'd be covered for that under your insurance.
It's a great point about insurance. Again, it's something I would like to highlight to people. It costs maybe £5, £10 before you go, and it's peace of mind. Anything could go wrong.
Yeah.
Might cost you a £5 or a £10.
Yeah. As you get older, it gets more expensive.
Yes, but it's still worth doing.
Definitely.
I was on a beach in the Caribbean, and there was this wonderful zip wire going on.
Oh, yeah.
People were having a fantastic time.
Yeah,
and I very nearly did. I really very nearly did. But I never thought for a minute that, hey, that could, if something went wrong with my insurance could be completely negated.
Yeah.
Trying to get home after being or having to be hospitalised could be really awful.
Yeah.
You need to think of things like that.
You've got to be careful.
Have you ever done anything naughty and silly on holiday?
Don't think so.
I don't mean naughty, I mean, irresponsible.
I don't think so. No, but we went jet skiing last year.
So even that, you wonder whether
does that count for anything? I don't know. I never
Could
thought
be.
of it at the time.
If you fall off. I fell off a banana boat, really hurt myself. I always err on the side of caution. I'm actually quite boring. I just tend not to do things. But I remember it's like hitting concrete when you fall out of the boat, because you're flying at such a speed.
And they turn around and come back for you.
Yeah, but they're aiming to throw you off. And obviously you've got the life jacket. But you're like, wow, that was sore.
Yeah. Even that's you never think until you get to it. No. You ever done anything dangerous on holiday?
Well, my mum, I don't know what it is, but she's so risk-averse when it comes to stuff like that. So quad bikes, she absolutely hated them. Like, we were not allowed to go on them as children. And I sometimes wonder if it was during her upbringing in the 70s and you had all those public service announcements about everything that could possibly go wrong if you let your kids. And she's been very shaped by that. Yeah. She's always, got these, scenarios in her mind. If this happens, then that happens, then that could happen. I'm like, Mum, that sequence of events is never, ever, ever going to take place.
No,
I was in Cyprus and they were doing parasailing, where you start on the boat, then you go up and then you come down again. They were doing that, and I'd done that before, and I took my 2 toddlers up with me.
Wow.
Did you?
And a week later, in exactly the same place, 2 young men were killed doing exactly that. Because the boat didn't turn fast enough and they, on their parachute, got dragged into the cliff.
Oh, no.
Just everybody just stay at the pool, just relax, take it easy, come home safe.
You still want to do things, but I think you just need to check your insurance before you go.
Yeah, just think it through.
Tick every box.
Anyway, let's have a look at birth trauma in the Times, Candice.
Well, this is actually quite personal to me. When I read this, I thought, Yes, finally, someone's looking at this. So the Conservative MP, Theo Clark, she recently gave birth and she had such a terrible experience with her postpartum care. She had been given, I think, a spinal tap, which is what I had as well, which paralyses you from the chest down. And when she pressed the call button for the nurse to come and help her, the nurse said, "Not my baby, not my problem."
What?
Because she hadn't read the notes. And the same thing happened to me when I gave birth.
Not my baby, not my problem.
Didn't say that, but she didn't say that to me, the nurse, but she told me off. She said, "All the women here have had cesareans. You haven't. I'm not here to help you." And I said, "I'm paralysed from the chest down. I can't lift the baby. I need your help." And then she suddenly changed. She was like, "Oh, yeah, you had a cesarean." That is such a common experience that women just get left.
That is insane.
After
I can't
giving
believe
birth.
any nurse would say that to any patient.
Yes, yes. And it happened to me, and it was at 5 o'clock in the morning. No one was around. I just had a baby, and the nurse was being terrible, and she had the exact same thing. And so she's teaming up with Rosie Duffield from Labour, because so many women say this is such a common story.
In a hospital, you get more or less abandoned.
Yes.
And if you call for a nurse, there's...
That is shocking.
Or getting
believe
told
that.
off for bleeding. I mean, there's all sorts of stories, like terrible, terrible
Told off for
stories.
bleeding?
Yeah, this was in the article. Yeah.
That is horrendous.
I cannot get my head around
I
that
find
at all.
my experience of postpartum care has been very poor. I mean, I've heard of women falling asleep with the baby because my mum said to me that it was so different when she gave birth in the 80s and the 90s. She said they used to take the baby away.
Yes, they
Yeah.
did. They put it in the nursery.
Put it in the nursery, which is actually such a huge help when you've just given
Yeah.
birth. You need that
Yeah, but there was a
rest.
great movement against that, you know.
I know.
Oh, babies should be with mother, you know, literally next to you, skin to skin.
And I can understand that, but I think it's the most vulnerable time of your life. You need help.
You were also absolutely
Yeah.
knackered after
I
giving
know.
birth. Let's face it.
Yeah, in France they take the baby away still, apparently, and let you sleep a bit. And we used to have the lying-in hospitals where you'd stay for a week after giving birth, so
that
you could
not
recover. It's
No,
all
no,
gone.
you go out the same day.
Yeah,
Oh, quick turnaround.
yeah.
I know
yeah.
nothing about.
You don't want to know, honestly. It's tough.
No, we're not meant to know, Sean.
very basic
It's
and
not.
very
it's not for
tough.
us.
Yeah.
It is.
But
it
you
is.
certainly... I can't believe a professional nurse would say that to anyone.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
staggering.
inexcusable.
I thought
is.
it was just me, and then when I read that, I thought, oh my goodness, so it's happening to a lot of women.
That's in the Times.
Yeah.
Right.
Frightening.
Everybody should read it.
Yeah. Sean, let's look at The Guardian, should we? And the Elle Edwards, I mean, her killer has got this, I mean, remarkable 48-year sentence.
48 years. I was saying this to Candice off air that I almost gasped at it, and for once, really delighted to see that. So for a quick recap of the story, this is Elle Edwards, 26 years old. She was out on Christmas Eve and she was shot dead by Connor Chapman, aged 23, in the Wirral. Now, he used a military-grade submachine gun and he sprayed bullets indiscriminately at a group of people because he's aiming for two targets from a rival gang. Complete disregard for human life. Went on the run. Now, his accomplice was sentenced to 9 years because he was found guilty of possession of a prohibited firearm and assisting an offender. This guy was arrested in Wales in a supermarket a couple of weeks later. 48 years, because, you know, you normally hear someone's been sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 17 years, and you always think that's
not enough.
Yeah, it's not proportionate. Again, I'm not one for being, you know, completely far-right, draconian sort of police state, but I would like to see people who take lives by shooting a military-grade submachine gun jailed for the rest of their life. You should never see the light of day, I'm afraid. And then this
Well, the judge made a point of saying it's 48 years, and I want it to be 48 years.
Yeah.
But just in case you ever did get, you know, parole, you will be on licence for the rest of your life.
I mean, this guy is going to
That
be
is
about...
proper sentencing,
That is,
isn't it?
and it's good to see. This guy's going to be in his 70s, a half a century. He's going to be in prison, and it's not going to be enough for the family of this poor young woman that was killed. They're going to have to live through tough times, birthdays, Christmases, anniversaries.
Especially Christmas.
Yeah, I know. And it's
Even years hence, Christmas will
Christmas
always be
Eve,
a time, and
painted.
they lost her.
I just hope it's some sort of consolation and justice for them, and I think in this case, you know, my applause to the judge.
What kind of lowlife has a submachine gun? Have you seen pictures of it? It's a military machine
Just
gun.
an
walked
idiot.
into a pub and just, on Christmas Eve, annihilated.
There are no words to you know, adequately describe the revulsion that this type of thing causes, but yeah, 50 years, good.
Yeah,
Very
well,
good.
There's no sympathy there.
Nope.
Candice, let's... should we get out our phones and compete over Threads and Twitter?
Yes.
Do a Musk and Zuckerberg?
So this is so interesting. So the FT is looking at the rivalry between Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, and they've sort of been talking about having a cage fight, but we don't really know if it's actually going to happen.
That's really... I think that's really naff.
Yes,
Yeah,
but it kind of shows what they're like, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's like just how basic they can actually be. So, I mean, Musk is not happy about Zuckerberg launching this new rival to Twitter, Threads.
No.
He's not happy at all, and they're actually launching a legal case saying that they've copycatted it and that they've got hold of their trade secrets because apparently they've hired loads of Twitter
They've
employees.
denied that.
Yeah.
Did you see?
Outright.
Did
But
you
he
see
has
what
form on
Aldi?
that, though.
Did you see what Aldi put out on Threads? And it was basically saying Aldi and Threads are basically in the same sphere where they both tread the line between imitation and copying like secrets.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you know, like Aldi will sort of imitate famous products,
Yes.
and they tread the line. I think that's Twitter's Thread's defence, isn't it? That it's just treading the line.
Didn't they copy Colin the Caterpillar?
Yeah.
Which was a famous Marks and Spencer.
Well, exactly, and you can do that. And Zuckerberg has form on this. If he sees something successful, he'll do it. So it was with the disappearing messages from Snapchat, Reels from TikTok. I mean, there was obviously all the controversy about Facebook anyway, that it was taken. It was an idea taken from 2 other people at Harvard. He's saying that he's going to make it much nicer than Twitter. It's going to be a better vibe. It's going to be like the happy vibes of Instagram. We'll see. I guess once you've learned from all the mistakes that Twitter's made, you can implement that into a new...
The issue is people have been going off Twitter for a while, but there's been nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now,
Yes.
the issue with this is everyone's just joining Threads because it only takes 2 presses of a button if you've got an Instagram account, and suddenly there's a viable alternative.
Exactly, because Twitter won't destroy itself. Something else needs to come in and take its place.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting.
Good
Yeah.
competition.
Well, when did you join up?
Thursday,
How many followers have you got already?
1,000.
I mean, that's huge, isn't it? Straight away in.
That's been-
very
yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's because it...
How do you interact? How do people know how to get hold of you on it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm unsure, but I think because it's linked to your Instagram, because I've got about 1,000 as well, and I was like, where are these people finding me? And I've realised that they see it on your Instagram,
Oh, do they?
and that'll be how. But now it's like the people who, because you know, Instagram and Twitter are 2 different representations of people, and now these 2 worlds are about to collide.
Yeah.
And it's like Twitter just sees your most unhinged sort of passive thoughts as they go, whereas Instagram is like the nice filtered photographs and stuff.
That's such a good point.
And they're about to clash.
There's a woman I know, she's a mummy blogger, and she's got such a wholesome image on Instagram. I looked at her Twitter, I was like, is that the same person?
Wow.
Yes.
Well,
That's interesting.
Maybe that will force it to be nicer and kinder.
I hope
Well,
so.
there's a
shall see.
market there if they can. Yeah.
Sean, Candice, we've got to leave it there. Good to see you both.
Thank you very
You too.
much.
Thanks very
Thank
much
you.
indeed.